Fire, roses, the two elements of earth. Welcome back to the podcast. The year is 2035. Tim Geddes is President of the United States of America. He has outlawed all candy, except for one.
He's
Andy.
outlawed the candy.
Andy. Greg likes to dance.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Kind of Funny's MCU in Review, the where it all began. We're doing a lot of fun stuff here at Kind of Funny, leading into Deadpool and Wolverine next week. We've been rewatching the Deadpool movies. We also watched Daredevil and Elektra, and we've been adding them to our rankings, the power rankings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just had Andy make the new tier list for us to put on the screens. Can you bring it up for a second there? Because I just wanted to be there are 50 entries now on this list. So today we will add Deadpool 2 to the list, which is just wild. That is a lot of movies to be putting next to each other. Of course, yellow highlights indicate it's not Marvel Studios proper, but it's movies we reviewed, adding them to the list since everything's kind of getting all garbled together. But of course,
I did give you all a lot of crap for how high you put Deadpool 1 for a movie that I really liked. But I look at it, I'm like, not too off. I'd put it below Guardians 3, though.
That's the problem. I feel like the
there.
Guardians thing, I get that there is something there, but I feel like it's higher than some of the ones that we have higher. It's the name of the game of the list.
Yeah.
Of course, I am Tim Geddes. I'm joined by Andy Cortez.
Hello, gamers.
Greg Miller.
Hello.
And Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Tim.
Andy, real quick, you want to talk about Deadpool 1 a little bit? Because you weren't here last week?
Good movie.
Yeah.
Liked it a lot. But aged way better than I thought it would. It just has all the spirit of like a movie where a lot of people really gave a crap about what they were writing about or what they were trying to portray, and they really put their all into it. And sure, the CG can be kind of goofy in some moments, but it was definitely a lot lower of a budget than many of the other movies.
I mean, I don't know if you listened to the interview, but $56 million.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Absolutely wild.
So.
I really enjoyed it this time around. I hadn't seen it in such a long time. I knew I always liked it, but after watching it, it's just like, oh, it's still very good.
Yeah.
Great job, Ryan Reynolds.
Great job, Ryan Reynolds.
Here he is.
Whoa.
The year is 2035. Ryan Reynolds has entered the in review.
If you love what we do, please support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon and YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free. You can watch us record them live, and you get a daily exclusive show. You can get in review for free with ads and without the exclusive content on YouTube and podcast services around the globe. Of course, shout out to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Nathan Lamoth, Karen Lindner, Fargo Brady, Alex J. Sandoval, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew. You really are the absolute best of us. We are brought to you by Harry's. We are brought to you by Portillo the Wiener Dog, Thinks He's a Manatee, the children's book by Greg Miller. It's a great time to be alive. But next week's going to be even better. Woo! Because next week we are reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine. We will be putting up the in review on Friday because in classic in review fashion, we will be spoiling the plot. We will be going through everything. So we want it to be out when people are able to watch the movie. But we'll be putting up a spoiler-free review as a Greg way.
I saw that.
As a Greg way. I don't know who's going to be on it. It might be a single person. It might be a group. We'll have to figure all that out. But just a little tease for y'all next week. If you're Kind of Funny members, you'll get a little early access. I don't know exactly when. We have to figure out embargoes and stuff like that. But
Fuck 'em. They'll never know.
A lot of fun Deadpool stuff. And then the other thing, too, I haven't figured this out yet, but at the very least, I will be live reacting to the Comic-Con Marvel Studios panel.
Oh, neat.
On Saturday at 6 p.m. next Saturday. So we got a ways away. We're going to figure all that stuff out. But people have been asking, of course I'm going to react to it. And it's going to be one of those situations where we're just pulling up a bunch of tweets and looking at them and seeing how things go. But yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Marvel's back, baby, or at least we can hope. It's a little early to call it now.
But you just did. You did.
I'm just calling it.
There's no possible way this can be bad.
Today we're talking about Deadpool 2, released on May 18th, 2018, directed by David Leitch. He made his directorial debut on the action film John Wick in 2014, although he wasn't credited. Only Chad Stahelski was credited, but in later times, they've clarified. He did, in fact, co-direct it. He also directed the films Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, Bullet Train, and most recently, The Fall Guy, which I still have not seen.
I have not seen either, but I was a huge fan of Bullet Train.
Me too.
I like Bullet Train a
Fun
lot.
one.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No, but was the Fall Guy?
Ryan Reynolds, Emily Blunt,
So what's the action movie one then?
The Fall Guy.
No, the stunt man.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
What did I say? Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah. Okay.
Ryan Gosling.
Free
Gotcha.
Guy is Ryan Reynolds.
Free Guy is
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Which is that's Sean Levy, who is directing Deadpool and Wolverine.
And I'll tell you, for a movie I haven't thought of ever, Free Guy. That's the second reference today. My dentist asked me about it today when I was getting a
Free Guy was a fun one. Free Guy was a
Yeah,
fun
Free
one.
Guy was fun. I get it's easy to hate on for a lot
I
of
didn't
reasons.
hate it.
But
Yeah.
it was an enjoyable time at the theater, at the cinema, watching 40X. That was a lot.
Really?
Oh yeah. They're
the one that Landon Laserbeam is in?
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to see it.
and Terry Schwartz.
Jacksepticeye.
David Leitch was a stunt double for Brad Pitt 5 separate times, and twice for Jean-Claude Van Damme.
In this movie or just in total?
No, just in live,
Oh.
like for the Bourne movies.
Gotcha.
Bourne movies,
my
because
God.
he's like a
That's
badass
impressive.
fucking
Yeah,
like,
he's the stunt dude.
guy.
Yeah.
Which
That's awesome.
when you watch this movie, you see a lot of the choreography in it. This one had a runtime of 1 hour and 59 minutes. It's pronounced Leach. Thank you, Langley. David Leach. Music was done by Tyler
because he invades his children's dreams.
Tyler Bates. Much of his work is in the action and horror film genres with films like Dawn of the Dead, 300, Sucker Punch, Halloween and Halloween 2, and the John Wick franchise.
I love that you leaned over to tell me that as if you were leaning away from the mic, but you just carried the mic with you.
The one note I have on the music in this movie, the like score music, I absolutely hate the X-Men theme they do. Like anytime it's the big heroic, we see the mansion or we see the Blackbird or whatever, they play the most generic like action fanfare stuff. And I'm like, it's the fucking X-Men. Like, of course I want the actual theme, but like give me like the Fox like 2000 movies theme.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like give me something, not this generic ass trumpets and
It
stuff.
all
Like,
missed quite a bit for me.
Yeah, it was a bummer for sure.
See that? Because it works for me because the whole thing is just like a criticism of how generic they could make it because they didn't have the money for it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been better. Budget of $110 million for this one, way above the 58 of the last movie, and a box office of $785.8 million. The film outgrossed its predecessor just by a little, just by $3 million, earning $785.8 million worldwide, becoming the 9th highest grossing film of 2018, the highest grossing film in the X-Men series, and the highest grossing R-rated film at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, breaking all the records that the previous movie set, which is pretty cool. Nicholas, I'd like to start with you. What do you think of Deadpool 2 this time around?
I had a great time watching this time around. These movies are so fun. They're irreverent. They're self-deprecating. They're raunchy. They're pretty much everything that I want to be in life. And going back and rewatching them, I think you hit the nail on the head. They just look like they had a fun time trying to make this as fun as possible. I like this one. We'll get to it at the end, but I think this one definitely, the budget shows. You got the action sequences are bigger. It feels like a bigger movie to a degree. And I think that, Ryan Reynolds stepping back in as Deadpool, they hadn't lost a step. What's crazy to me is going back and being like, oh, this wasn't that long ago. They're making so many references in this. Because I always think of the Deadpool franchises as being sort of like alongside or maybe right after the X-Men, but they're not. This is not that long ago, right? And so it's to have some of these modern references come out and be like, oh, right, I totally forgot that, these guys we're coming hot off the heels of the second one to the third one is pretty cool. But yeah, great time watching this. Laughed out loud for a lot of things that I totally forgotten about. The baby legs. I totally forgot about that.
Sure, cocking in.
And man, did not see this the first 2 times I watched the movie, but there is in fact a little pea shalik in there.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah.
I missed it.
I think
Paused, got up close.
Yeah.
it's wildly. I'm like, I think I saw a little
Dangler.
dangler.
Wow.
Sticking out. Yeah.
Wow. I should have brought this up in the fun facts. There's, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this movie came out in, I already said this, but what was the date?
2018.
In May 2018. In December that year, they re-released it in theaters under the title Once Upon a Deadpool. Do you remember
That's
this?
with Fred Savage.
With Fred Savage, they were doing the whole Princess Diaries thing. Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Princess Bride thing.
Very similar to Princess Diaries.
And
Same
I went on YouTube and watched, because I'd never seen that cut, and they made it a PG-13 or PG cut, probably 13, to cut out all a lot of the excessive gory stuff, and pretty much any time Deadpool actually kills himself, like they don't show that stuff, they cut away. But all of the Fred Savage scenes are freaking hilarious. Like they are so funny, and you can just watch them on YouTube. But like I recommend it because like it's real good stuff. But Greg, what did you think of Deadpool 2?
I had such a good time with this last night. For both Deadpools, I would say in the 50 movies we've watched, let alone everything else we in review, and I'm not even on all of it, I kind of feel like I got lost on them in terms of like, what were they about? What were they, you know what I mean? Like I remember certain scenes and stuff like that, but going back to Deadpool 1 and enjoying that last week, but being like, man, a lot of the humor didn't hit for me this time around. Deadpool 2 is the opposite of it, where I feel like the majority, if not like the overwhelming majority of it all hit for me, where I was laughing out loud, taking notes of lines that I really, really liked. I thought the action was great. And it, for me not being the action guy, I thought it was so enjoyable, that opening, scene of jumping in and him just being a merc and killing all these people. I think it has that classic upswing of what I like in a sequel, which is like, we're just picking up, and there's no more. We don't have to do the stage setting. We are just ready to go. Here's what's happening. Let's get it. And I love that, and I love the escalation of it. And again, I think some of the comments I made in our Red Hulk, Captain America: Brave New World. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. Okay. Reaction, I think, are an interesting time capsule, where it was me saying, watching that trailer, oh, I like what I'm seeing here. This seems like this will be a fun picture. I think my expectations for a Marvel movie are far lower, not in a horrible way, but just we've had so much Marvel stuff and so much bad Marvel stuff and mediocre Marvel stuff, that taking those expectations to this, I think probably are why I enjoyed this so much more. Deadpool 1, I remember pretty well coming back to. Deadpool 2 literally started, and me and Jen were both like, did they break up, or is she, oh right, she's, okay, cool. And then it's like the monster thing, we were like, what's the monster? And I was like, I want to say it's Juggernaut, but that doesn't feel 100%. Yeah. I was in like, so it was like,
it's in the Ant-Man 2 area for me when it comes to just memorizing what the hell, or remembering anything of what happened in this movie. Yeah. Like so much of this felt like a fresh watch, Yeah,
and I had a great time with it. Really, really enjoyed it.
Andy.
I liked it. It reminds me a lot of like when you like that small unsigned indie band and then they get signed, and it's sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. And I feel like it's really hard to kind of replicate that spirit of the smaller sort of entry with Deadpool 1. But in so many ways, this movie does do a lot of things better and some things worse. I think the only moments where the humor didn't hit for me was just the topical stuff, which is surprising. I thought the humor was going to be a lot more missed than hit, but it really is just like the stuff that puts you in a time capsule and puts you back where they're making fun of dubstep, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember when this. I remember when this was like a joke that we were making back in the day, and it didn't hit, and especially the way they try to execute those moments didn't quite hit. But it really only is those things. Like so much of the rest of the humor does hit really well for me. There's a lot of just really damn good, clever lines, I thought, and I enjoyed Cable. I enjoyed seeing Josh Brolin back in this role, and the little reference to Thanos is hilarious. And there's so much to like about this movie that I expected this was just going to be, I'm going to watch this sequel again, and it's going to be the less good version of the first version. And there's still a lot to enjoy here.
Yeah.
How about you, Tim?
I'm right there with you. I love this movie, and I last week was like really surprised by not just how well Deadpool 1 stood the test of time, but that I actually think it gets better over time. And I feel like with watching 1 and now 2 and then leading into 3, I think there's a potential that this ends up being like my favorite trilogy of the Marvel movies. And like, that puts that up there right now. I'd say Guardians is the gold standard of that. Captain America's is really
Spider-Man's
good as well.
Spider-Man
too. But even then, Spider-Man, like I feel like there's a cohesion potentially. Like we haven't seen the third yet, but between Deadpool 1, 2, and 3 of the build up to him and Wolverine hanging out, that like is unbelievable that it's actually happening, and it just feels so earned with all the references and how much more. Oh my god, yeah.
This little piece of
fucking Nick's been working over here on his laptop to get the perfect frame of this guy's dick for so long.
But I feel like with the Spider-Man trilogy, it's like they with Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame, like getting in the way, quote unquote, of the Spider-Man trilogy. It doesn't feel as cohesive,
Sure.
But I feel like there's a potential here for this to like really kind of stick the landing as a Deadpool 1, 2, 3, in addition to having the wider consequences on story and all that stuff. But for Deadpool 2, I totally agree with you that it does so much better than the first, but not everything. And I think the thing it majorly misses is one is so tight and clean of a story and themes and these characters.
I think
have
the heart is a
point A,
lot
point B, and the
stronger,
heart
yeah.
is there. Here, I feel like there's just a few too many storylines that I don't dislike any of them, but I find it a little hard to follow how Cable and them being in jail, and then there's the Vanessa being dead. There's just a lot of threads where at certain points this kind of feels like you're skimming through a season of TV as opposed to watching a movie. Having said that, I can't believe how much sense the Cable character made. Like, we're going to introduce this time traveling fucking mutant with like all this complicated stuff, and they just did a good job of like just making it cool. Like they didn't need to focus on explaining it with lore or anything. It's like,
How does
he
he
has a
time
time travel
travel?
thing.
Yeah.
Cool. We get it. That's awesome. And I feel like Deadpool being so fourth wall breaky, they could have used that as a excuse to like look at the audience and explain how it all is working. They didn't need to. They're like, let's just lean on he's cool as hell. He's going to fight cool as hell and do sick as shit stuff with like tech that we have never seen. And
I only have two charges: one to get here, one to go back. It's lazy writing.
yeah, that's just so great. But the action choreography in this movie completely blows my mind. Like I feel like they use the not just the violence, but like the fun of the music playing. I forget what's her name, Dolly Parton.
Dolly
right?
Parton, 9 to 5. Yeah.
That's it's just so good. The sun will come out tomorrow. Like there's just so much great
Papa, can you hear me?
music moments combined with like great camera work. The whole opening scene of like them jumping around and just how violent and awesome the set pieces are. Like there's just an energy that is so uniquely Deadpool, and I just think that they kind of knock it out of the park because it reminds me of John Wick. You know, like you only see that stuff in John Wick, but here it's like the style is taking up another notch because there's more character to Deadpool than there is John Wick, you know, in a fun way at least. And I'm so just enamored by their commitment to making every single action scene as fun as possible. And I think a lot about the Domino character of how silly it is and how much they lean in on like what the fuck is luck as a power. And there's the long one shot of like all the luck happening of her and the cars crashing that looks
fun.
absolutely horrible. Like the CG is so bad.
Yeah,
but
it's so
fun.
bad.
I love that though because not because it looks bad, but I'm so invested in how intricate the choreography is and how good a job they made it a fun scene that I don't even care that it looks like a PS2 game. Like it is so fucking cool. And how we got this movie, I will never know. And the biggest turning point for me of like going from I like this a lot, but it's not Deadpool 1 to me being like, God damn, man, the Deadpool franchise is incredible. Juggernaut. They got Juggernaut. Juggernaut is like one of the most iconic X-Men characters ever because the Spider-Man cartoon, because it's just a big bad guy. You know what I mean? And just having him be like a secret reveal that none of us knew was in the movie. It's freaking awesome.
It's so interesting because like while watching it, I loved seeing him on screen because I don't think it looked great.
Oh, it looked pretty cartoony.
But I loved the sort of stylization of it. It reminded me of watching a really good pre-rendered video game cutscene where when we
blur
saw like the
cutscene or
Diablo
something.
reveal or like, you know, Blizzard does a new thing where their CG is so damn good, but it's clear that doesn't look like somebody that can exist in this world just based on the look of it all. It was stylized enough that I really enjoyed the vibe of him. I enjoyed kind of seeing his weird face proportions underneath the mask. I thought it looked awesome, even though it didn't look convincing. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. See, for me, I think one of the reasons why I love it, the scene to me that sticks out to this and is just perfect for why Deadpool works is like, you can forgive bad CG when you're being so creative that I'm having a great time on this roller coaster, right? And the scene that I always go back to is when Cable pulls the guns on him and he starts shooting and Wade cuts the first bullet and you're like, oh, he's gonna take both of them out and cut up. And about 5 seconds later, they just start the bullets start ripping
And that's
through.
the choreography, right, from X-Men Origins?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he did that in Origins where he cut up every bullet. In this one, yeah, he just
And
cuts the
this
first
one,
and gets
the
blown
first
up.
one, like 13
So
just
good.
hit him, and he just acts like he's doing it. So good.
And then we didn't even talk about it, but like the kind of end of this movie, it's just so satisfying. The timeline jumping and like the Ryan Reynolds, like this is gonna change my life, and like getting shot through the head, and the recut scene from Wolverine Origins, like all of that stuff is just so smart, like so well done. And I just can't believe we're about to get this third movie next
Hell
week.
yeah. And it's going to be absolutely taken up to 200%. Like we're cranking this thing up to 11. You can already tell. by
What
the
movie was it
trailers.
in which Deadpool was it? I'm not sure if it was one or two, maybe both, where Ryan Reynolds was sort of sacrificing a lot of his pay to have his writers.
It was 3.
Oh, it's part 3. Oh, okay.
That's because the writer's strike.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. And then I remember there was another story about him and I think it was Chad Stahelski, like coming at odds with each other because Ryan Reynolds wanted to make it like bigger and Chad wanted to keep it smaller or something like that. That might have been for Deadpool 2 or something.
Well, there was a lot
crazy?
of things. It wasn't so much about big or small, but like things
creative
got a little
differences.
like hinky with the directors wanting to do different projects and like going off and doing things like Bullet Train and all that stuff.
Got it.
Because Ryan Reynolds, like, I mean, even as recent as last week, was doing an interview with Hugh Jackman and was talking about how like they want the budget for all these Deadpool movies to be exactly what it needs to be so that they can work within the confines of that,
Right.
as opposed to ballooning and ballooning and
Make it
ballooning.
$300 million and then, oh gosh, it has to hit $1 billion or it fails. Yeah.
But yeah, we are going to talk about all that stuff. But first, here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Harry's. I always hate it when I buy something and then talk to someone else and realize I way overspent and they got it for cheaper. It's happened to all of us, but getting ripped off is no joke, especially when there's razors involved. The people at Harry's were tired of seeing everyday people paying way too much for low quality shaving products. So they found a way to make beautifully designed razors without laughably high prices. You can get better designed and better value grooming products made by a company that forged their own path in the grooming industry. Harry's has been keeping me looking right for years, and you already know I looked so good at my wedding thanks to that very close shave from Harry's. Highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. No risk trial. If you don't like your shave, no worries. It's on them. Convenient subscription options that you can cancel at any time, so you can stop getting ripped off. With Harry's, you can get a shave that's a cut above the rest. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/kindafunny. That's harrys.com/kindafunny for a $3 trial set.
Major announcement. I wrote a children's book and you can buy it right now. My first ever children's book, Portillo the Wiener Dog Thinks He's a Manatee, is available as a limited run at kindafunny.com/store. I'm forever grateful to Kinda Funny best friend Josh Strickland for stepping in to help turn my dream into a reality with his amazing original illustrations. To celebrate the book launch, we're also bringing back the Portillo hat and t-shirt along with a fun new crew neck that you can wear while you're reading the book to your kids or pets. Head over to kindafunny.com/store right now and check it out before it disappears.
Plot, 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 plot.
Everybody! Plot, 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 plot. Nick.
Which was the clap sound? That's the clap. I was hitting the wrong
Should
one.
we do it again?
Whoa. I've never seen Greg look like this. You look like
headbang.
Tobey Maguire in 3.
I headbang.
Yeah, I mean, you could look like Fire Fist if you want. It's kind of like I love Fire
Fist.
Fist hair.
He has
In the
good hair.
movie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the kid, the meme kid, because he looks like the meme kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the plot for Deadpool 2. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Nikio.
X-Force. Let's start. Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Oh, wow. It looks like me.
I forgot about that kid. Greg. Oof,
For some
we gotta
reason, I
tighten
thought
the
there was
screws,
fire
buddy.
behind him. I'm combining memes in my
You're
head.
thinking of the girl
The
looking
girl with the
sinister
fire-
with the
yeah,
fire
yeah.
behind her. Memes.
Sorry. The Kimiko stuff, Nick. It shouldn't make me laugh. And
It
it
gets
only
me
makes
every
me
time.
laugh because of you.
Yeah. No, same here.
It's
Same here. Like I laugh out loud,
hilarious.
imagining him laughing out loud.
'Cause
And it
it's
was especially the last one, like, what's her
Hi,
name again?
Yukio.
Yeah, Yukio doing the hand
Hi,
thing.
Wayne.
I just laughed out loud. I was like, God, Nick is loving this somewhere.
You're right. You're right. It is genuinely just funny naturally on its own.
It's the whole movie's irreverent. The whole movie he's screwed with everyone, but there's this one like real thing he has with Yukio where they're just
It's incredible.
I like her.
It's
She
the
likes
best.
him. And they're just best friends right off the rip. And I
Yeah.
think that's so hilarious.
I love it.
Hey, we're starting off another banger. I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without Greg. He's sitting on a whole bunch of barrels of gasoline. We got already we're kicking it right off with the Hugh Jackman reference from Logan, and he's pissed off because of course they had to copy him and go rated R, and they did yada yada yada, and hilarious.
It's
Hilarious
just
now that we're at that point where they're actually going to be in a movie together, and we're going to get all these references IRL in the world with the actual real actor Hugh Jackman. They're going to be together. It's going to be hilarious. Anyway, Deadpool blows himself up. And then we head back to, of course, 6 weeks ago. He's
This scene,
gun.
even though, like, I've been shouting out Ryan Reynolds' performance as Deadpool as like being one of the more iconic superhero roles ever. And like watching these movies, it's like I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I think he might be number one. Like, I think there's something about Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool that is just the most perfect casting because he is the character. And a part of what makes me think of that is the way he's laying on these gas tanks. Only Ryan Reynolds could do that, but it's Deadpool. You know what I mean?
He's
like,
wearing white socks from Kirkland like I wear
just
with
so
Crocs.
good, man.
He makes me want to buy Crocs.
His house slippers.
Like, I think it's up there. It's either this or Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, but it's between the two. I think they're in a league of their own.
Captain Steve Rogers.
Agree.
I was kind of saying.
He's great.
Cap Steve Rogers is great, but like I'm with Tim on this. Where like you think Robert Downey Jr., you think Iron Man, you're like, oh my god, he was born to play that role. Whereas other people, you could have had other people potentially stepping in for Cap and still knocked it out of the park. But like nobody is Robert Downey Jr. on this, and Ryan Reynolds.
Plus, he can't even fight right now for Michael Cera to be in this role. Like, it's crazy you're
That's
doing
how good he
this
is.
while he's gone.
He's perfect. We come back to it, of course. He's a hired assassin now, man. Great scene where he kills a bunch of Triad members, and he goes, jumps behind the bar, and we get another banger line here where he's like, I'll take a vodka and cranberry. I know it's called the Sea Breeze. Don't make me say it. Working 9 to 5's playing as we're killing the montage. He goes over, he kills some people over in Japan, and there's a sumo wrestler who we see as, see as like a schwanz, and he goes, Scoutmaster Kevin?
Such a Kevin, such a Nick line. There's just so much Nick shit.
So funny. Deadpool, of course, then tries to kill Sergey, but he hides in a panic room, so D bolts back.
Hold on. We can't just rush this. Like, this montage is so fucking fun. Him popping out of the coffin, like, surprise motherfuckers. It is like, it's so funny. And getting to this shot of running through the warehouse where only the target is in slow-mo, but everything else behind them is like just crazy action scenes of things exploding, them referencing like, that's not CGI. That guy's actually on fire. This is pitch perfect filmmaking, man. I had such a good time with it.
I thought that was such an odd choice, too. I didn't like... Because it feels like the main target is in like 50% slow-mo, but everybody else is like just a little bit faster than him, but not quite real time, it didn't look like. But I didn't understand, like...
It's just so sick.
It was cool.
I thought it was cool, and it also is, it tugs on that guy's perspective, right, of trying to get... It's like kind of like...
Being a nightmare.
Exactly, the nightmare you have where you should be moving faster, but you're not. Like, I feel like that was what they were going for, and I thought it worked.
He quickly becomes overwhelmed, decides he'll wait for the guy to come out of his panic room, goes back, and we see Dopinder again driving the cab, and he just dives through the window, and he's like, go,
Start the car! I was laughing.
Heads back, of course, for his anniversary with Vanessa, and gives her a skee ball token from their very first date.
And she's like, what were you doing? Fighting a caped badass, where we stopped because both their names are also, both their mom's names are also Martha. God damn.
So ridiculous. Really brings you back. Also, we get to the dubstep reference too, but I distinctly remember back then, even in the movie, I was like, I don't think dubstep's been a thing for a while.
We had the complaint then too.
Yeah.
I really, really love it. It's such a small throwaway thing, and I'm pretty sure on the last in review I mentioned it as well, but I loved him walking away. You'll always be my Kirsten. I just love that small little thing. Who knows what her name is? Even he doesn't know.
She gives him her IUD, which is her birth control device, and
is it a bomb?
Yeah, it makes a reference to the bomb. Yeah.
Baby Factory is open for business. Of course, we have a line here where he's like, "I'm not sure. I don't know if I'd make a great dad." And that's pretty much the theme of this movie. Is going to be like, can you take care of someone if you are broken? Can you, have that? Where's your heart? Who's your family? All those things.
It's so wild that during these parts where Vanessa dies, I'm just like, man, I haven't seen this movie in so long. I know she's on part 3, so like they got it back somehow. It's so wild how terrible my memory is. Everything's always a first experience.
They watch Yentl, and this is the first time we hear the song. Papa, can you hear me? He goes, that sounds like something. I don't know which song, but it sounds like something. This is where they talk about him being a good dad, but it is interrupted when everyone from Sergey's team comes to kill him.
Sorry, I need to say the line that we need to name our kid and only have one name, like Cher or Todd.
And then they go on later to say that Todd's a terrible name.
Yeah, she's like, there's no fucking way I'm letting you name our child Todd.
The last guy, I think it is Sergey. He kills a bunch of people with the knife block, and he goes, thank God I didn't have to use the cream cheese spreader. And then, of course, Sergey's there. He throws it, he misses, and Vanessa takes one in the chest.
I also appreciate here that they are still I'll get the dessert, and it's just toaster strudel. That's what they're making for in their nighttime
That sounds
snack.
delicious. Little
which
apple one.
we saw that too. Of course, at the beginning, I think he takes one of the toast strudels
Yeah,
and throws it out. From here, he jumps out of the window, chase after Sergei, who gets in a car crash, and then he catches up with them and has a moment that is like a very strong, powerful moment where he hugs Sergei and then just takes him over into oncoming traffic.
Awesome. Man.
Just obliterates him. And I totally forgot about this next part, which is wild to me, being the biggest James Bond fan on the planet.
Oh my
That
god!
they just do a random James Bond intro in this. set
With
to
the
a Celine
Dion song.
It's great.
Made for the movie.
Made for the movie.
Come on, man.
And
I didn't
what,
know that. That's
and what's
hilarious.
awesome is like when I first watched that, I had no reference for a James Bond intro because we had never done any of the 007 in reviews, and it was awesome. I can't imagine how much fun they had of like, what if we just kind of did our own version of that? Fuck yeah, let's do that.
Completely and totally unnecessary. And I'm sure a producer was like, no, this is going to cost $1 million. No way. But the second you see, obviously James Bond doing the kaleidoscope style stuff, usually either with bodies or guns or bullets or whatever. And this was the cream cheese spreader. That was just like 30 of them echoed
It's
in time.
incredible, man.
Incredible.
The opening of the first movie was equally amazing. Of
Yeah.
like the slow-mo scene going through everything. What are they going to do for 3?
Yeah.
Like they
I don't
got to
know.
up it somehow, man.
But of course, the self-irreverent, self-reverential moments
Credits.
directed by, did they really just kill her? Like,
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ryan Reynolds be like, I don't want to share the spotlight with anyone, all that stuff. Hilarious. We finally put it all together. Let's see. We go back to, where are we? Oh, this is where he's at St. Mary's. He's drinking, and he's like, Papa, can you hear me? Do you want to build a snowman?
All of the
He goes,
dialogue
it's the
here is
same
perfect.
song. Have we not figured that out? Of course.
And fuck, he's dead too.
At least we have Bowie. At
least we have Bowie, like,
Yes,
don't
at
tell him.
least we have. And then they look.
all,
He's,
all of those lines are just so damn good, and you could just tell there's so much improv in this movie.
yeah,
It's
are
great.
you pissing? You're making that face you make when you piss.
And it's like, no, I'm not pissing, and he is pissing. And then, of course, Dopinder's back there with a mop because they have now put him in charge. He's like an assassin in training, but TJ Miller's character, Weasel, he's not really training him. He's just kind of using him to clean up shit around the St. Mary's.
This whole scene, it's like, oh, this is a comedy movie sequel where it's the same jokes, same setups, but just more, so much more.
Yeah.
And I loved it for it. Like, I feel like they did a great job. And it ended with like probably the first moment in the movie that actually made me laugh out loud, which was Buck.
Yes.
The character's just
That's
fucking
the one I wrote down.
going in, talking, and just saying some weird
Jesus
shit.
Christ, Buck. No more speaking lines for you.
It's great, man.
From there, we head back over to Al's house, where he wants to get some a little comfort from Al, but more importantly, he wants to go into a stash of cocaine. She tells him, don't do
Cure
anything.
for Blindness is in there, which of course is a reference to the first movie.
He tells her, of course, she's like, don't do anything crazy. He's like, oh, I'm not going to do anything crazy. He takes the bag of cocaine, smashes it into his mask, and it goes, bah! It just explodes all over his face. And he says, you can't really live a little until you've died a little. Let's test that theory, shall we? From there, he dreams about Vanessa. This is where we get a cool little sequence where he goes into the water, yada, yada. Tries to
Well,
get
he
to her.
blows himself up, right? I think it's
That's where he blows himself up, right?
Ryan Harridge in the YouTube chat says, I'd love it if Buck narrates an opening of 3.
He meets her in sort of the dreamscape, limbo, wherever they're at, and she says, it's not time for you. You can't get to her. You can't push through this barrier. And she says, your heart's not in the right place. We wake up, of course, with Colossus digging him out and putting him back together.
I didn't love the visuals of the like in death and like him talking to Vanessa like through the wall or whatever, but it eventually hit me and I'm like, wow, this really is just a comic book come to life of like, this is how it would look in the comic of just like a barrier between them or whatever. I'm like, I can appreciate it a bit more with that kind of context of it all
That
because like
lens.
it's cool.
I one missed opportunity for me in this movie with how much I loved Colossus in part 1. I just wish that he had the same sort of presence because like I feel like they just could have done more with that relationship, and they still
See, I
took
liked
their
him so
swings
much
here
more
and
here. I
there.
think less was more for me.
Oh,
Where
really? I
I liked
loved
him
him in
more
part
in
one.
this movie. I thought his line delivery and the little things he had worked more. Even the thing at the end of like, say fuck just for me, and he does, and then he does it again later, just in conversation. I thought it was good.
We catch up with Negasonic, who is now dating Yukio.
Pump the hate brakes, Fox and Friends. I was like, yes.
We're at the X mansion now, and he gets away. I love when he just tears away in Professor X's wheelchair.
I mean, like that's brilliant. Like it's such a simple thing that like again, I don't know if other actors could make it as funny as Ryan Reynolds moving around in this fucking wheelchair.
We
Yeah,
gotta
okay,
at one
okay.
point rank or do like a top 5 of all the cameos because I think this would be up there as number 1. with
The X-Men.
with all the X-Men just being in the room behind him, them closing the door, like it's fucking genius. It just gets me every time where like even in the theater, I didn't expect that to happen. I expected to maybe see one or two of them. I didn't expect to see the whole damn group of them in that room. I think it was perfect. The way it was played out, all of it.
They shot that doing Dark Phoenix,
Oh, okay, awesome.
which is like
Great
so
movie.
weird to think about timeline-wise of where we
Yeah.
are. Like that, that doesn't sound that long ago. Although this movie was 2018, 6 years.
Does it make sense though?
That sounds, when you say it like that.
But that's the cast. Does it make sense as far as their ages?
Wait, when was
no,
this
not at
movie?
all, right?
No,
It
not at
should have been
all.
Patrick
2018.
Stewart and
Yeah.
that level of cast.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, we're playing with those timelines. Anyway,
But again, I think that does such a great job of. I mean, it's the same way for me. Of I think one of my criticisms of Deadpool 1 and the original in review was that Deadpool breaks the fourth wall all the time in the comics, so they do that in the movie. But I didn't feel like the first movie justified why suddenly Ryan Reynolds or Deadpool would be talking to us, Wade Wilson would be talking to us. But for Deadpool 2, I feel like it's such a great one of just like, this is how it is. You know what I mean? Like you're in it and you understand it, and that's the rules, and like what's happening here matters, but also doesn't matter. Not in an insulting way, but like, yeah, it's the wrong. These wouldn't be the X-Men that would be here in this part of time, but you're having fun, aren't you? And enjoying the references. And he's talking about Hugh Jackman, and we're doing the Green Lantern thing, and like, I forget if it was again timeline wise who it was, but maybe it was in an interview after they picked it up, but Kevin Feige, but it was somebody like Kevin Feige if it wasn't. But I remember when they were asked like, when he does the time travel thing at the end of the movie, is that real? And like, yeah. That all really happens. That's all Deadpool's line and timeline, you know what I mean? Which obviously is reflected now in the movie,
That's awesome.
the trailers we've seen for that. But it's like, again, for this movie being a bunch of weird shit that can just happen, who cares? Like, I think it works well.
I love the idea of it possibly being like getting John Cena to be in Barbie, where it's like, hey, they're recording the lot over there. Get
Yeah.
over here. Like, oh, X-Men's recording over there. Get the fuck over here. Let's do a little scene real quick.
And again, this is a loaded one because, of course, I know there's been more Deadpool trailers and TV spots and stuff like that. I haven't watched them. I had like one of those like look away from Instagram the other day when they started to show me something I want to see. So like, tell me, maybe it's already confirmed or whatever. But I'm guessing then the actions at the end of this movie and Cable's actions are then what will probably set off the TVA in this one, right? Of like, hey, you're all variants, right? I'm like,
Yeah, I know more than I should say,
Okay,
so I'm not going to say anything.
I'm looking forward to it. Very excited for next week.
from
See you
here,
guys
of
next
course,
Goodbye.
Wade is in a very dark place. Like, I killed all the assholes who killed Vanessa, but one got away. It was me. I killed every last one of them, and I couldn't kill me. We were going to be a family, and Colossus says, hey, you can have a family. You can have a family here. You have a good heart. It belongs where it can grow. Of course, that hits him in the feels because what Vanessa said, she's like, your heart's not in the right place. He goes, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. So he goes full in on becoming a trainee. Not
Grabbing his ass.
Okay.
Kept
Which
grabbing
and the hand goes
Colossus's
back
ass.
up and
Yeah,
it just
yeah,
goes
yeah.
right back.
You always make it hard, and Ryan Reynolds just looks at the camera.
I love that. I love that.
We cut over to the future where we find Cable in a burned out, cool ass apartment. This is confusing to me because really my only touchstone for Cable is from the X-Men animated series where he always comes from the future and it is just the whole of the future is just destroyed. And so for the fact that I don't know what his future was in this, but apparently it was pretty baller before Russell decided to kill his wife and his daughter. He picks up the teddy bear and he's like, we got to go back in time. And that's where we go. Colossus grabs Deadpool, who's playing with Cerebro.
So good. Keeps finishing the most obvious sentences, and actually, that's not how Cerebro works.
So, of course, they can go on his first mission to combat a young mutant named Fire Fist. Love that he's just randomly wearing a trainee jersey that's cut off.
And everyone keeps referencing it.
So
everyone's referencing it.
Everyone references it as if they know when they see that, oh, that's another X-Men trainee. I love that. And then also on the approach here, another great line from him. Just put your hands behind your knees and get down your face.
See, for me, the line that stands out here is when he calls the guy the secret sex lips guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Or he calls him Kirshner.
Jared Kushner. Too many training jokes for me. I could have done with like two less.
I don't.
They just kept on doing them.
I feel you. It's always the James Gunn parallax, where it's like too many jokes.
Can you cross into where it like gets funny again or whatever? I know what you
or
mean.
just can you just let's just shoot for the stars and see how many of these land and whatever. More often than not,
One man's
land.
trainee is another man's secret sex lips.
Exactly. He goes, of course, not Iron Fist. Fire Fist is not having it, so Wade knocks him out with the hilt of his katana blade. They collar him. He'd rather go to the icebox. This
4 or 5 moments.
Yep. Wade, of course, realizes that this kid's been abused. The headmaster's a piece of shit. He tries to do the speech, and it just does not work well. Calls the guy Jared Kushner, so they collar him too. Actually, he kills the guy. He kills Jared Kushner in the face, and they throw him into the icebox. As he enters the icebox, and of course now we see that his cancer is coming back because the collars stop his mutant powers from stopping the cancer. As he enters the prison, he goes, I wonder what gang I'll be in. I hope there's a sorting hat. Cable comes back and steals a truck from two rednecks. I could have swore
Alan Tudyk.
this scene
And Matt Damon?
Was it Alan Tudyk, Matt Damon?
Mm-hmm.
I could have swore this scene was different. I thought they were talking about bidets in this scene for some reason. And I wonder if these characters come back in something else, because I could have I had this scene in my brain as being the dialogue being different here.
Cable changed your timeline. Greg's in a different multiverse too.
Maybe you jumped too.
Yeah. You're from the other universe.
Quick,
with Greg.
name on 3. Name all the Golden Girls. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Rita.
Yeah.
Tuna.
Nope. Oh my God. Yours was a fish too. They have a little scene
Deleted
here.
scene. Nick says Mad Rocks. They were talking about toilet paper.
That's what it was. Maybe that was the extended cut we watched or something like that
Maybe.
at some point. Because I remember them talking about toilet paper versus bidets. And I
You're
remember
right.
thinking it was a joke that I had written for an open mic that I had just done. And that was the first time I realized I wasn't unique. That I saw that and I was like, oh, parallel thought. Someone else came up with this exact same stupid bidet toilet paper joke.
That does make sense because we watched the super duper cut for in review.
That's
back
what
in
it
the day.
was. Thank you. Thanks, Madrox.
The year is 2019. There's another cut of Deadpool 2. No one knows what they're watching anymore.
Greg is from a different dimension where B. Arthur was a tuna. Fire Fist tells him that the headmaster hates mutants. He tells him the whole backstory. It's sad. Wade, of course, can't help. He's like, I'm dying from cancer. This is where this is not going to end well. At one point, I'm not sure if it's here or not. Fire Fist says that he's hidden a pen in his prison wallet. And we get a lot of references to that.
I hear you rustling in there.
Rummaging around. This is where like I thought about Nick a lot watching this movie.
'Cause it's so
There's some
funny.
stuff here. This is where we start getting into the Matt Scarpino territory.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
we're taking this too far.
A little bit. When you start talking prison wallets, you're dipping into the old school Scarpino feel. They foreshadow the monster that's being kept there in the basement. And this is, again, with me and Greg, we're aligned on this. I was like, I think it's Juggernaut, but that doesn't make sense. But maybe it is. I can't remember. So cool. And then Josh Brolin is just fucking jacked.
Beautiful hair.
And he's looking at his teddy bear. And I don't know if this is where he comes back and he's fixing the guns or not, but I'm just transfixed by his body in this. Because I feel like they say he's 5'11", but you know, Andy, in Hollywood terms, that's probably 5'8".
6'2".
So I think to myself, could I look like Josh Brolin?
I
if
think you
just worked
could.
out?
I think you could.
He looks so good in this.
He looks amazing, and he looks cool as fuck.
and his fucking hair.
Yeah.
Because that's what your hair is going to look like. The salt when he goes
Yeah.
salt and pepper, but you can still do the
know.
badass like side fade cut.
Yeah,
Sick.
let's go.
Sick.
I love the lines of the Black Tim, Black Evan. I don't know. All I remember he was African American.
Yeah.
Oh, that whole storyline or that through is ridiculous. It's Black Tom, of course, and his gang. They get their asses kicked. Cable then attacks the prison and looks cool. He appears to be hunting Wade, but he's not hunting Wade after all. He wants Russell. Wade tackles Cable to the ground. Below, they fight. He snaps his neck, and of course, off comes the collar.
One of the most brutal things I've ever seen. Deadpool falling and
Yeah, breaking
Holy
himself
shit.
in multiple places.
Yeah, his spine looking just completely terrible.
This is where we establish Cable's sort of power, sort of tech. He's got the gun that has a magnet to it that'll come back to him. He's got the cool shield on his left arm. The arm being mechanical, this is another dumb Nick question because I don't really know Cable. I always thought, wasn't that supposed to be a virus that he had that was like the mechanical thing that his mutant powers were keeping at bay? Or what's Cable's arm from? Why does he have the winter, quote unquote, Winter Soldier arm?
Jen asked that too, and I was like, oh.
I don't know.
Another reference where I was like, when did this movie happen that we're getting Winter Soldier references? Because there's no way they pulled that from the comic book. This must have happened after Winter Soldier, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I mean way
Well
after.
he fights Cable. This is me not knowing. I'm just being displaced from time. I'm watching this again. He fights Cable. They come face to face. He goes, "Who are you?" And of course, he has to say, "I'm Batman."
Felipe Torres in chat says, yeah, technovirus.
Techno.
That's what I thought it was. So maybe it's just taking him over. But it seems like his hand does a lot of cool stuff that's like mechanical, as opposed to just being metal. Deadpool, like feigns like he doesn't give a fuck because he's trying to distract Wade, or he's trying to distract Cable. Russell sees that, of course, and that sets him on his revenge kick, where he's like, nobody cares about me. I'm going to leave. Of course, he's actually just distracting him so he can pull the pin on his grenade and blow them out through into the cold. Wade goes down into the water. Cable gets separated. Russell goes back to the friend that he has made now. Goes back to make a friend. Oh, no, this is later. Never mind. He goes back and just goes back into the prison. This, of course, is the rock bottom point of the film. This is the midpoint. Wade makes a point of telling us, hey, every film has a midpoint where it's like the point of the most biggest despair. That's where we're at as he crawls out of the ice. Deadpool decides to save Russell. He says, kids, he dreams about Vanessa again. She says, kids, give us a chance to be better than we used to be. So he's like, that's it. I'm going to save Russell. But first, I need to build a team. Cable thinks about his daughter, who Russell killed in the future. Back in the prison, Russell decides to take Wade's advice and befriend the biggest, baddest person in the prison. Who should it be? Of course, we don't know, but it's Juggernaut.
Bitch.
And then they put together a team. And this is where this movie, to me, starts getting just absolutely bonkers fun. First off, you put Terry Crews in anything, already 10 out of 10 for me. But he starts putting together the team that Weasel has helped him pull together, which consists of Bedlam, who is Terry Crews, Zeitgeist. There's a great line. He's like, what, you just put your finger on the pulse of what society wants or whatever it is? He goes, no, I spit venom. And of course, this character is a Skarsgård, right?
We've all eaten at Arby's. Do you want to see it? No, we've all eaten at Arby's.
I love the line that Weasel has earlier, another moment that made me laugh out loud when he said, hold on to your testicles. Why'd you say it like that? It's so funny.
We have the Vanisher here, who is invisible, and they're like, oh, Vanisher. We have Shatterstar. We have Domino, of course. When he meets Shatterstar, he's like, what's your secret power? He goes, I basically do everything you do, but better. I'm just better than you at everything. And then Ryan Reynolds, or Weasel, I think it's Ryan Reynolds says, just for once, I like to find a planet where everyone is worse than me at everything, and I'm going to be their Superman. And then he goes, it's called Canada. And he goes, you shut your trash mouth. Love all the references to Canada and the shout-outs, of course, because Ryan Reynolds is from Vancouver. Domino comes and her superpower is luck. And he's like, that's not a superpower.
She's awesome.
And then last but not least, Peter. He goes, I don't have any powers. I just saw the ad and thought this would be fun. He goes, you're in. And Dopinder goes, fuck. So fucking good. He wants to be a part.
I also loved seeing the headshot difference. Am I being catfished right now? What's like, why is it? Because that actor, I'm blanking on his name.
Rob Delaney.
Yeah. His headshot, much more fit version of him, obviously. It's like probably an official headshot he had from probably 5 years prior to that or whatever. Be like, am I being catfish? Who are you? Like having the mustache. He's just the perfect look of a guy. I just seemed like it'd be fun. Like, all right, you're in.
Love it. From here, we cut back over. Cable has kidnapped Weasel, and he's like, he starts talking about how he's going to torture him. He's like, first step, he's like, I'm going to stop right there. We're not getting to a second step. He's like, I will tell you exactly where they are.
Except where they are.
Yeah.
They're over there. There's a high wind advisory.
High wind advisory. Deadpool, of course, gets the group together. He's so proud of them. He was like, we need a cool name, but it's got to be gender inclusive, and it has to be this, and it has to be that. So I'm going to call us X-Force.
Isn't it kind of derivative?
So sick. Thunderstruck starts playing, and this is the point where someone's like, should we be jumping out of this helicopter? There is a high wind advisory. He's like, we're going to be fine. Thunderstruck started playing, and of course, it immediately goes bad. But I do want to, I never caught this in the first time. They all jump out of the plane and form an X as they're falling down. I'm like, I'm a sucker for that.
This is amazing.
That's pretty sick. They deploy their chutes, and the wind immediately takes them, killing them all one by one. Peter lands safely, only to spot Zeitgeist, who is in a wood chipper. So he goes to get him, and he starts pulling him out. He's like, we're X-Force, man. It's going to be okay. And then Zeitgeist barfs at him and just melts the entire right-hand side of his arm and his torso, killing him immediately.
I don't know if this scene could have been funnier. Like, it was so hilarious to me and, like, just so fun to watch. And, like, getting the team together and then immediately getting the Thunderstruck, badass X-Force, and then killing them all in the way you did. And then we get the Brad Pitt cameo. Like, it's just so fucking good.
Random. Just I remember watching that in theaters. Like, is that Brad Pitt? Just randomly as a manager.
And then seeing tons of behind-the-scenes footage or whatever of him, like, trying to hold that look and then laughing afterwards. It's so... What a weird thing. I wonder how much it costs to get him for that day.
Well, they seem like boys. Because think about Bullet Train. Think about like all the Bourne.
Well, he was a stunt. Yeah, he was a stunt guy. So he probably just called him a favor.
You're right.
It's similar to like the Star Wars Force Awakens, where like Daniel Craig was shooting on the other set, and he was like, "Can I be a stormtrooper?" It's like, sure. So he's just a stormtrooper for that one scene. You got to imagine they're either doing it for scale or just for free. Who knows? We get a sequence now. Of course, this is a sequence Tim was
Chat says cup of coffee is what the rumor was.
Perfect. I mean, who would, like, what, it's like 10 minutes of shooting for you?
I was trying to think. I was trying to think of what the fuck it was.
We get the fun sequence with Domino here where she lands and we finally see what luck is as a superpower, and it's super cool. Cable gets aboard of the truck and starts dropping prison cells out of the side. Great moment where Deadpool tries to cut all of the bullets with his blade and just completely misses. I'm skipping right along here, so guys, feel free to stop me if you want to
your life.
talk
Enjoy
about
yourself.
these.
I do really enjoy that Cable kind of lays the groundwork for the audience to let everybody know how terrifying Juggernaut actually is. Because to me, he's always been a scary X-Men
He's
guy.
a big
but
lug. Just get out of his way when he runs at you.
yeah, but
He's Rhino.
yeah. But for here to kind of put him on the level of Hulk, where like this dude is like, you freed him, you fucked up, and I really enjoy Josh Brolin, somebody as scary and as menacing looking as Josh Brolin, to kind of let the audience know as well, hey, this is a big mistake what you all did. You know?
And I love Deadpool kind of like on the other side hyping him up and like doing the whole, oh my God, I'm such a big fan. I loved you, and like naming all the comics. It's like, it just shows the general audience like, hey, Juggernaut actually matters. Then I love the, I'm going to rip you in half now. Oh, that's such a Juggernaut thing to say.
I like the beat too of Domino coming around the corner, seeing Juggernaut and being like, no, and just leaves. She doesn't even try to help. She just leaves.
Yeah.
Juggernaut's magic, right?
What?
He's not. Doesn't his power come from like magic?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he's Professor X's like half brother. Right?
Well, they
something
referenced that in the movie, but like that's not anything I know.
that was in the cartoon series. That's all I know. I just remember him being like some sort of magical spell or something made him into the Juggernaut. It's like a curse or something like
Felipe
that.
says he got his powers from a gem in the Patreon chat.
There you go. And then
He
he
got
has
a
to
gem
wo-
in the Patreon chat.
No. He got it's from a gem. And initially I was like, for audio listeners, not a gym. He didn't go to the gym to get his powers. He got it from a gem.
He's not like
a
One
rock,
Punch.
crystal.
Like when I say
Felipe
you're
Torres.
a gem.
Felipe Torres, yeah.
All right, we're done with that. I rips him in half. Everything's gone to shit.
Let's do Varsity Blues in review. Just one movie, but come on.
He calls over to Russell, and he's like, Russell, don't go with Juggernaut. I'm your friend. He's not your real friend. What does he have that I don't have? Don't say legs. And he goes, legs. And he's like, ah.
He does the rope.
And then he does the rope. He's like, that's not a real rope. There's no real rope there. Again, that level of stupidity, while always going to make me laugh, could have very much been like, this sticks out like a sore thumb in a movie. But because this movie's so bonkers, I think it definitely works. Back at Al, Deadpool's baby legs are starting to grow back in. But instead of putting pants on, he's just, quote, full shirt cocking it. Cable comes to visit them and to make peace and ask for help. I love the line here, too, where they're talking about Cable, and he's like, he's standing right behind you, isn't he? Which is just a reversal of what it usually is, and everyone flips around, and he's right there. We see the little baby
They all
cock.
draw guns and, blind Al the wrong way.
Yeah.
He points it at him.
Cable tells him that they're running out of time. Russell is about to make his first kill tonight, and once that happens, he's going to kill the headmaster. Once he gets a taste, he keeps killing until he eventually kills the wrong people. My people. Russell killed his wife. It was my fault she died. He's like, I should have protected her. I should have been better. Of course, that resonates with Deadpool and his struggle in this movie. And so he decides to help him. He's like, if you could go back and kill the people who killed your girl, would you? He's like, yeah, I definitely would. Of course, planting the seed. Give me a chance to save him first. He goes, I'll give you 30 seconds. If we can get to him before he kills, we can save his soul.
Hold on, real quick. I want to talk a little bit more about the baby scene, because him getting up and TJ Miller being like, he's doing it. It's so freaking funny, man. Like they know what they got.
Look at the little guy go. Like all those little lines.
He wants backup, of course, so they head back to the X Mansion, where Wade tries to pull a Say Anything with his little boombox on his iPhone, playing some Peter Gabriel, but Colossus is not having it. This is the first time we get, hi, Wade. Hi, Yukio. And it won't be the last. And God, I hope we get more of it in the third one, because it gets me every time. Domino finally realizes why she's here as they approach the Essex house. She's like, oh my God, that's why I'm here. That's why luck has brought me here, because I was raised in this house. I grew up here as well.
And the Essex house, of course, is the Mr. Sinister stuff. It's all connected, so
Makes sense. Who is the headmaster?
I mean,
A Sinister-esque
something like that, yeah. But it's like it's cool that like they really cared about the X-Men lore in this movie more than they needed to, but that's what Deadpool's all about.
And I loved it right after that, getting that explanation. Oh, that's why I'm here. Like, this is where I was raised or whatever, or tortured, And he's like, oh, look at that. Look at us all together. We're here. Like, it's just kind of funny hearing those little lines of dialogue trail off. It's just like, look at us. We're just kind of hanging out. That's awesome for us.
Juggernaut is there too, as well as Russell. Russell heads in to hunt the headmaster down with fire. Juggernaut stays back to start fighting everyone, and it's very scary. Poole gets a stick of wrought iron through his head, and I forget what song. I think it was Peter Gabriel's playing here again as Colossus picks him up. And he's like looking at him with just fondly. In your eyes,
the light, the heat, your eyes, I am complete.
Pulls it out.
What movie was it recently where somebody had something stuck through their head and they were like not performing well?
The Boys.
No, I knew that's what the first response would have been.
Probably Deadpool 1 then.
I think it was Deadpool 1,
Yeah.
actually, right? Where there was like then the animated things came out.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah, it is that. Great job. Fucking good job,
See you guys next week. Can't wait, Deadpool Wolverine.
We split up here now. Domino heads inside to find Russell, and she ends up beating the shit out of all the orderlies. This sequence is awesome because it's all just luck based as well. So like everything starts falling on like a Rube Goldberg style thing, and like cuts the dude's head off and all the stuff. Of course, all the orphan kids clap for her. They cheer for her. Russell traps the headmaster in the auditorium, and Wade intervenes. Negasonic and Yukio show up to help Colossus, who ends up shoving an electrical wire where the sun don't shine. Tim, it does not shine up there.
It does not.
With one bullet left in his gun, Wade, of course, tries one more time to reason with Russell, who now we're outside by the jungle gym. He hurts you, and he makes you want to hurt others, but if you kill him, he wins. There are people in this world who will treat you right. I never should have left you, is what he says. But Russell cannot trust him. He's like, I can't trust you. So Wade has one idea left in his pocket. He puts the collar on himself, and he says, if you're going to kill someone today, then it's going to be me. Cable, of course, makes a bad dash for his gun with the one bullet left and fires, but Wade dives in front of Russell, sacrificing himself. The tune of Tomorrow from Annie. Cable's bear goes back to uncharred, which means that it worked. Russell is saved, his soul is saved, but Deadpool is dying, and boy, does he take a long time to die. What a fucking punishingly long, hilariously funny sequence that you got to have Ryan Reynolds to do. Just
I don't want to die without an audience.
of course, and then his last line as he looks toward everyone is, do you want to build a snowman? Which is dumb. Dies. Finally, he goes back to Vanessa. Only this time, the barrier between them is gone. They can touch. Take On Me plays. Actually, awesome version of Take On Me plays.
Great version.
He says, is this heaven? She says, it is now. Cable kisses his daughter's teddy bear and then uses his last charge, which you think he's going to go back to save, do some other stuff. He doesn't. Instead of going home, he goes back to the moment where they first enter the Essex house, and he puts the token, which is grade A lead, back in Wade's pocket, so that when the bullet hits, it in fact saves Wade. He has sacrificed himself. Everything is good, but he's like, oh, you wasted your last charge on this, which is a bummer. She says, Vanessa, of course, says, it's not your time yet. They need you. This is your F word. And then as they're leaving, he says, don't fuck Elvis. He says, don't fuck Elvis. And she says, don't fuck Colossus.
He goes, what?
It's pulled back.
I love the fast forward through all the action scenes too.
Great. He lives because of the token in his pocket. Headmaster yells at them, fire and damnation. But Wade stops Cable from killing him. He says, let's let Karma take care of him on that one. And then Dopinder smashes him over with the taxi. And he starts laughing. He's like, I heard you coming like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So all the Karma bullshit was just holy.
That was one of those sequences where I immediately thought of Tim, because I know Tim probably the most out of all of us hates fake laughing in movies. And this was one of the only spots where I was like, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Because there was the other fake moment where
his fist.
the fire fist, and it reminds you of like the Guardian
Taser
joke.
face.
Yeah,
Taser
taser face sort
face.
of moment.
It's the worst
But this
joke in the
was
history.
legitimate. This part got me good. Like, I heard you driving from so far away, I couldn't say anything.
Love it.
It's so good.
And then, of course, as they're leaving, we get one more by Wade. By Yuki. Good sleep. Every time. We cut back over. Mid-credit sequence, Negasonic and Yukio fix Cable's time device at Wade's behest. She says, bye, Wade. He says, bye, Yukio. I think this might be where we get where he pops back in and says, bye, Yukio. And then she goes, that was a really terrible mistake, wasn't it? She goes, oh, my God, what have I done? We go back. He kills Wolverine. He kills himself from Wolverine X-Men Origins, and then he goes back and he kills himself as he's reading the Green Lantern script and is just super pumped about it and looks at the camera and says, "You're welcome, Canada." And that is Deadpool 2.
Was there not a sequence
That's
where he
the
killed
super
baby Hitler?
duper cut.
Okay.
That was in the extended.
What was the super duper cut?
Killed baby Hitler.
Or like at least is going to.
Yeah.
But I don't think he actually does it.
God, I saw an incredible tweet that was like, man, I really fucked up. I don't know why I thought this baby Hitler would have the mustache. I don't know which one's which. It's a random tweet. It got me so good, bro.
Oh my God. We're going to look at RaGuBaGu real quick just to see how we feel about where we have previously ranked.
RaGuBaGu.
Diggity dog. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast within a podcast where we rank all the villains of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars, and a couple of other ones in one gigantic list. We break it down by tiers, S through F. There are currently 60 people on the list. However, when we talk about Deadpool 2, we put the antagonists in the F tier.
Whoa!
They are at the 54th position. We listed them as doesn't matter, Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Essex guys.
Headmaster, Cable for a little bit, but then he
Kinda.
flips,
Russell
but
for a little bit.
Russell for a
but
little
not
bit.
really.
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. We
I
don't
kind of
really
said
care.
where we're at.
Yeah.
Didn't
Doesn't
need
matter.
him. Didn't need him.
Yeah.
Just trying to help people out. Deadpool.
But I always love a good time travel thing. Like that person's eventually going to become real bad. We got to stop this whole thing.
Conundrum.
Good
Not
conundrum.
really. No.
Now it's time to rank the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Currently at number 1, we do have Avengers Endgame, and at number 50, we have Elektra. Tailing in. The final proper MCU is at number 49, Secret Invasion, with Daredevil 2003 right above that. Deadpool is the newest entry at number 9, breaking into the top 10 of our MCU list. Where do we want to put Deadpool 2?
I think I'm going to be so far outside of the audience's norm and you guys that I'd like to start.
Go.
I like Deadpool 2 better than Deadpool 1.
Me too.
So based on our things, I would say put it at 9,
I would still put this below Guardians 3,
which would be 17-ish.
which would be 17, because I love the humor in both these Deadpool movies, but I still think about how so many of the movies above this not only hit on the humor, but also hit on the emotions, got me a little teary-eyed in a lot of moments, gave me like a lot of chills. And this movie, I think, is a very good movie, but I would still put this at number 17, below Guardians and Guardians 3, above Shang-Chi. Damn, Shang-Chi's good.
I'm closer to Andy. I really like this. I don't think I like it better than Guardians 1, though. But I do think I like it better than Guardians 3.
Okay.
So I go 16.
All right.
Which then, so you guys are saying
9. Me
Both
and Nick
9.
are 9.
I would put it higher. Yeah, I mean, I just like it better than Deadpool 1, but it's that same conundrum of like, can't really put it over Guardians. I don't know that I can necessarily put it over Wakanda Forever because I really like that film. I think it's better than Loki, Loki season 1 and 2 for sure. So I would put it above the original Deadpool if I could, but
Yeah.
I don't know how that math works right now.
well, the math works out that it will then be where I say number 16.
There you go.
In between Guardians 1 and Guardians 3. I'm going to put that in now at number 16.
Putting it in.
It's a very admirable spot for it.
Yeah. Deadpool 2. Making it red.
What if?
What
Now, here we
Oh,
are.
thank you for making it red.
Here we are, everybody.
Here we are.
Projections.
Where's Deadpool 3?
Where do
gonna
you
land?
think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to end up on this list?
I'm hoping it's top 10. I
I'm
really
hoping
do.
it's top 4.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that top 10 is insane. Like it beating any of those in the top 10 list might be, maybe it dethrones for me Deadpool 1, but I don't know. It's got to get up pretty early in the morning if it's going to beat the likes of Guardians 2, Winter Soldier, Thor Ragnarok. Come on, man. You're not going to beat that.
It all depends on the future of Marvel's plans, because if they decide to do another, but when I say they, I just mean like if we have another goodbye to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, which I thought we already had with Logan, and that movie like wrecked me emotionally. If they do that again and nail it, then I think it could be a top 5, especially with all the other fun little cameos that we're likely going to get. But
That's not what they're going to do, though, right?
But if they kind of, if Marvel's plans are like, well, I'll just keep Hugh Jackman in for a couple more movies, then I could see myself it being lower, because I don't really know what emotional heartstrings this is going to tug on. And I like getting tugged on. Heartstrings.
I mean, I'm hoping it's an encore for him. I'm hoping it's a one last kind of ride, and then we pepper him in later throughout little cameos, things like that, multiverse stuff. But I don't know that.
He could come back for a cameo. He could be
Secret
like,
Wars.
So
He'll
he's
come
in the
back for
ride.
Secret
I
Stone
think
Cold's never gonna wrestle again. But
Yeah,
they
but I
come
don't
back
think
to the
he's
ring.
gonna be-
But they come back to the ring again to
Yeah.
pop up. And
Yeah.
He's just too. He's just been doing it too many times to be our Wolverine going forward. So I just
He
don't
won't be
think
going
that's- No,
forward.
he's just going to be a variant of Wolverine going throughout the things. But we got to have like a Jeremy Allen White or something like come in and actually like bring something different to the role.
That would be awesome.
I think we're gonna get a lot of Hugh Jackman the next couple of years, and
I'm okay with
excited about that.
That's fine with it.
But yeah, no, I'm very hopeful for this one.
My
And,
hope, my hope is that I'll be in the same situation voting that I think it's the best Deadpool, so at least 9.
yeah, exciting times. We will be back next week to see where it actually all falls. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about Deadpool 2, how hyped you are for Deadpool and Wolverine. And until next time, have a marvelous day.